It's time for
DodgerHeads.
Dodgers have won it all in 2020. Shohei Ohtani, 50-50 club. Strikes him out. There's a drive. Shohei Ohtani. Freeman hits the ball. She is gone. Birthday party, Los Angeles. Your Dodgers have won the World Series.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Medium Large Sports Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined tonight by Blake Williams, here to break down every Dodger who's going to get DFA'd tonight and all of the guys who no longer deserve to play baseball, potentially not even live, Blake, right? Is that what we have on the agenda?
Yeah, unfortunately, they're going to need a lot of new players as Conforto, Will Smith, and yeah, that's probably about it. Are the only guys who can stay.
Yeah, maybe JP Fireisen, Miggy Rowe. Do we like Miggy Rowe on the mound? Do we think there's maybe something there?
He allowed 2 homers. He's out of here.
Okay, all right, he's gone too. Him and Fireisen can go pitch together in the independent leagues with Rich Hill, maybe somewhere in the minor leagues. Dodgers lose tonight, 11-1. We're going to get to Roki Sasaki news. We're going to get to Clayton Kershaw news. Lots to get to. You kind of hinted at it, Blake. There was one small glimmer of hope and optimism and good news in the midst of all this. Do we want to start negative and all the things that went wrong for the Dodgers, or do you want to jump into the one thing that maybe makes us sleep at night tonight?
Everyone wants the negative. That's the way fans trend, so let's go there.
All right. Dodgers lose 11-1 to the A's. This game was a mess from start to finish, Blake. Offensively, they were 0 for a million with runners in scoring position, I believe. I'd have to have our stats team check the specifics on that. That's what it felt like. The first 4 innings, they had a runner on second base in every single one of them, twice with only 1 out. They came away with just 1 run on that one. And then Thousand Oaks native Jacob Wilson was the absolute, I guess, anti-hero, the villain tonight. A 2-run home run in the top of the 3rd, another one in the top of the 5th. It would have been out in 2 of 30 major league parks, but he picked one of the right ones to hit a 375-foot fly ball to left center field. Garcia comes in. He gives up the last run for Knack, 1 for himself. It's 6-1 from there, and it got ugly. So when you think about this, was this game early on more of a Landon Knack conversation for you or an offensive struggles conversation?
Probably both. I mean, I don't think you can really pick either one from this game and say that's the reason they lost. It was a combination of why they lost. Landon Knack gave up the multiple home runs and I think 5 or 6 runs, and the offense didn't do anything besides score the 1 run, which came on an error. So, like, it's just one of those nights where nothing went right. That's going to happen in baseball. I will tip my cap to the A's a bit. They played well. I know a lot of people are like, oh, you got blown out by the A's. They're a terrible team. They're not going to be in the playoff conversation, all that stuff. But they have a lot of really good young talent. They're not a good team yet, but they have some bright spots on that roster, like Lawrence Butler, Jacob Wilson, Nick Kurtz. They have talent there. Shea Langoliers as well, and Tyler Soderstrom. Like, it's a good group of hitters, so it's like not the worst thing. Like, I don't think this is the time to hit the panic. It's not like losing 11-1 to the Rockies kind of thing, because the A's actually have talent, but they aren't a good team yet, and it is a team the Dodgers should beat every time, so it is still frustrating from that perspective.
Hey, 22-20 this year, Blake. Put a little respect on the A's name. They're over 500.
Yeah, that's a pretty bad division they're in, though, too, so yeah. Every team right there is right around 500 in that division, and the Angels were leading there for a bit and then lost like 15 straight kind of thing. So, yeah. They're fun.
0 for 12, by the way, was what the Dodgers were with runners in scoring position tonight. And in some cases, it was, Freddie Freeman was 0 for 2. Ohtani was 0 for 2. You sort of expect Miguel Rojas to go 0 for 3. Kike Taylor, those guys to go 0 for, but Betts had a chance. Smith had a chance. Pages had a chance. 0 for 12 with runners in scoring position. I tweeted this out, Blake. Is the most surprising stat in the history of baseball that the Dodgers actually lead the majors in batting average with runners in scoring position? Because it feels like they were like 0 for 30 at one point a week ago.
I mean, on the surface level, sometimes, yes, it feels that way, but they're also still a really good team, and every team is going to have struggles with runners in scoring position. Like, we're talking about going 3 for 10 with runners in scoring position is elite. And if you go 0 for 7 one game, like that's kind of expected. You're going to be expected to go 3 for 12 at best on most nights. So 0 for 12, it's kind of like, it's below what you're expecting, but realistically, like you're talking about 3 hits here. That's how baseball is sometimes. You hit the ball well and it's an out kind of thing. Like, so as much like as it is disappointing that they were 0 for 12 with runners in scoring position, it's not an actual concern for this team. They're still really good overall, and they're going to have nights like this. It's going to happen throughout the season. It's going to happen again. It's going to happen next year. It happened last year. It's just, that's how baseball goes sometimes.
Hey, they were saving all their hits with runners in scoring position for a game when it was going to matter. This was 9-1 even before Miguel Rojas took the mound. So saving them. Let's go to the pitching side. I made some people angry with my thoughts on Landon Knack tonight, so I'll let you go first. 4 2/3, 7 hits, 5 earned runs, 8 strikeouts is the final line for Landon Knack. What did you make of what you saw from a guy who making his 3rd start for the Dodgers so far?
It's kind of mixed results. I like the strikeout numbers. That was really good to see, but he just made some mistake pitches and the A's took advantage of it. If he can cut those down to 1 or 2 less mistakes a game, he'll, like we're talking about this outing, completely different. And that's kind of a lot of times how it happens with these more fringe level pitchers where they're not aces. They're going to make more mistakes here and there. And if the other team is right, they're going to take advantage of it. And that's what the A's were today. They were hitting their mistakes and they capitalized on it. So tip the cap to them and kind of move on. I think Landon Knack, like we know he's never going to be an ace of the rotation. We know he's not going to be a top 3 starter on the team. He's here to eat some innings, and like 5 runs isn't a great outing, but he gave them some innings. He got some strikeouts. If he's facing a team that wasn't as locked in as the A's were today, you're going to get some better results. And that's just how those games kind of go with these fringe pitchers. Like, they're not always going to be at their best, and you just kind of hope that they get some positive results.
Yeah, the 2 swings to Jacob Wilson were the 4 runs that were scored while Landon Knack was on the mound. Again, Luis Garcia allowed a runner to score that Landon Knack left out there. I got critiqued, Blake, for saying that there was some encouraging signs from Landon Knack tonight. I was referring specifically to the swing and miss stuff and the strikeouts. 32% whiff rate. He got 15 swings and misses on 47 swings, excuse me. And I want to explain myself. I'm not saying you agree with me. You might. But the reason that I was encouraged by Landon Knack was not because I thought he was awesome tonight. The hard hit rate, as a lot of people have pointed out, was really, really bad. I think he had like 8 hard hit balls on only like 11 or 12 that were put in play. But what was encouraging to me is that if Landon Knack can generate even league average swing and miss. Last year, he was 29th percentile in swing and miss. If Landon Knack can improve his sequencing so that the slider and changeup get the type of rates that they got tonight, then all of a sudden you can see a world, Blake, where the 3.5 ERA he posted in 12 starts and 3 relief appearances last year actually becomes, I'm not going to say reliable, but something that you're looking forward to. He gets closer to a Tony Gonsolin type pitcher if he has that swing and miss in his bag. I'm not saying he's going to have that in his bag, but I'm saying it was encouraging for a guy that typically has done really, really poorly in that category.
Yeah, I think encouraging is a fair word. We're not going out here and saying he's going to completely break out because of this, but this is kind of the world you live with the number 5, number 6 type starter. You're going to get some good outings. You're going to get some bad outings, and you take the encouraging stuff and hopefully try and build on that to get a few more good outings here and there. Like, we're talking about guys in Landon Knack's positions are expected to have like 4.5 ERAs around there. Like, it's a pretty low bar for a number 5. This is probably the Dodgers like number 8, 9 starter type thing, and he's in a position where he has to be the 5. So when you remember those expectations of what you should actually be getting from Landon Knack, like, it's fine-ish. You take what you get and you're happy with that. So I think when we remember that kind of perspective on Landon Knack, it's a lot easier to say, like, yeah, this is what he is. We're going to get some good and bad here mixed in, and we just kind of have to go on from there.
Totally. And I'm shocked at how many people crap all over Landon Knack just in general. I'm not talking about tonight. If you want to bash on how he looked tonight, so be it. I wonder how many Dodger fans take for granted that they have a guy in Landon Knack who, to your point, is like their number 8 starter. He had a 3.6 ERA in 12 starts last season. But like, do you know how many teams would kill to have that guy as the number 3 or 4 starter in their rotation? And yet the Dodgers, a lot of fans on social media seem to want to fire this guy into the sun. Blake, that's the piece that doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, his ERA this year is closer to 6 now, 5.89.
But these were people saying this before he even made a single start this year.
Yeah, I mean, fans have very high expectations for players. I will say a positive with Landon Knack this year. His expected FIP is 3.63 even after tonight. So it's still suggesting that he's due for better results. And like I said, this is a guy, if he's putting up a 4 ERA, you're going to be very happy with what he's doing this year. He's the 5th starter on this team right now. He's 8th or 9th in the depth chart overall on the team. Like, you can't be too picky or mad about what he's doing out there. He's basically the replacement level guy for who they're dealing with that is injured right now, and you just kind of have to accept that.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I'm not saying a 3.6 ERA or whatever he has is elite necessarily, but I just look at some of the other guys around the league and the ERAs that were put up last season. I mean, Luis Castillo, Zach Gallen, and Landon Knack. Those are the 3 names right next to each other on the ERA chart last season for starters who had more than 50 innings last year.
That more than 50 innings is doing some heavy lifting there, though. I think Knack was like 60 something, and they were probably around 200.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is the performance he had was in line with what those guys gave you on a night in, night out basis. I'm not saying he's Zach Allen or Luis Castillo. I'm just trying to put in perspective for people what Knack did last year in a much larger sample size than what we've seen so far this year.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I think he still overperformed a bit last year. He's probably closer to that like 4 or 5 ERA or a little below that type pitcher. But like I said, if you're getting a 4 or 5 ERA from him over 100 something innings, like, you're going to be happy with that for your number 5 starter. That's better than what most teams have. That's probably better than what most teams have as their number 4 starter. So, like, it just requires that context here.
Yeah.
We didn't get a great start from Landon Knack. That's going to happen. He's not an ace of this team.
Yeah, adjusting expectations, I think, is the headline for Landon Knack. If 4.5 ERA is the bar that you compare him to on a start to start basis, then I think that's reasonable. Tonight he would have failed to have met those expectations, and yet I think there's some positives there in the swing and miss and whiff rate. Let's talk about the positives, though, Blake. Michael Conforto. There was one person on this show, Blake, who did not give up hope, who continued to talk about the loud exit velocities of Michael Conforto and how encouraging the numbers were, how unlucky he was on Sunday night. Expected batting average on balls hit 95 and 100 miles an hour or more. Is tonight the night, Blake, that he's back? 3 doubles for Michael Conforto. The approach was good. Even the foul balls were loud. Yes, he got behind in some counts, but he roped 3 balls, 104 or more miles an hour all 3 times. Are we ready to say he is back, Blake?
I kind of think he's been back for the last week or so. He just hasn't had the results there. Like you said, he was hitting the ball hard a lot. I think you posted on Twitter like 20 of his 30 at bats or something, or bolts that he hit were hard hits. So, like, I want to say he's fully back. We have to remember Michael Conforto has a 7-year sample size of his career or something like that. He has never been this bad for his career. So even if he wasn't fully back and the Dodgers didn't get the breakout they were hoping from him, he was never going to be this bad for the entire year because he's a better hitter than this, and he showed it for 7 years at the major league level. Now we're actually seeing some of the results start to happen after we saw the approach improving. Yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say he's going to go on a nice run here and be at least at minimum a solid contributor for this team. I don't think that's a stretch to say. He's had a long career of being a good hitter. He's showed the results for 2 or so weeks now, and now he's actually getting the balls to drop. Like, yeah, I'm willing to say he's back. I know that might make me a shill or put me on the Guggenheim payroll for parts of Dodger Twitter, but eye test and the batted ball data is backing it up. So we'll say Conforto is back.
Joe Davis did say he passed the eye test tonight, so he's got that going for him. But I've tried to explain to those who don't understand why folks like you and me talk about exit velocity. And it's because history tells us that once you cross that threshold of 95 miles an hour, I can't tell you why it's 95, but history and all of the data that we have says that when you get to a 95 mile an hour exit velocity or higher, the expected batting average, the actual batting average, spikes and starts to skyrocket as far as the likelihood that that ball is going to land on some grass and you are going to be standing on a base at the end of it. The fact that he has been hitting hard 2 out of every 3 times he puts a ball in play is 95 or more. 1 out of every 3 times 100 or more. The expected hits that he should have had in the last 30 is like 7 higher than it actually has been. And so, yes, the results have not been there, but what you can use these numbers for is to be predictive and to look forward and to say, there might be something here. The ball bounces his way a couple of times, and all of a sudden, he's standing there with 3 doubles in one game. So I'm encouraged by Conforto, to your point, over what he's done over the last couple of weeks, but nice for him to do it. Because, Blake, tell me what you saw. I said the approach was good, and I should correct that. He was behind in every single count. But what was unique to me was there was next to no swing and miss in his game tonight. And even when he was fouling tough pitches off or lining balls foul left or right, it felt like even the foul balls were hard hit. He just seems a little bit more locked in, like he crossed the final threshold of being a little bit more locked in.
Yeah, regarding his approach, I think that may have been a little just baseball correcting itself. Usually you're not going to get many hits in 0-2 counts or with 2 strikes on you in general. So for him to have a few at-bats like that and still come through with extra base hits, that's probably just a little of the luck turning around from his previous few games. I think the main thing here is we just need to see him having the same kind of quality at-bats that he's been having for the majority of these last 2 weeks, let's call it. He needs to keep hitting the ball hard because he's been hitting the ball hard. We'll say that. I don't think anyone's debating that. The results haven't been there, but you have to keep hitting the ball hard. Just because you hit the ball hard for the last 2 weeks doesn't mean you're going to continue to do it moving forward. So as long as he continues to do that and have quality at-bats, I think the results are going to be there. I trust him to do that because, like I said, throughout his career, he's been a 120 weighted runs created plus guy, 250 average, 350 on base, 450 slug type guy. That's a really quality major league player. And this year, it just hasn't been that at all. And I don't think a 1 month sample size is more important than the 7 that we've had on him so far. So, yeah, I believe in him to keep producing more, and I think he'll keep trending up. The overall season stats might look a little down because of that month and a half he had or whatever, where just nothing was dropping and he was 0 for 31 or whatever it was. So, but I think starting middle of May here through the rest of the season, I think we see a really productive player.
Yeah, and keep in mind the walk rate has been borderline elite all season. So if you start pairing some hard hit contact that starts to land with a guy who's walking at the 89th percentile in Major League Baseball, you got yourself a good combo. Fritz with the super chat, is Conforto figuring it out, and is lemonade a soda? We just talked about Conforto. Do you want to add your 2 cents on his lemonade a soda here, Blake?
Lemonade is a soda if it's like that Minute Maid one that they just put in the machines. It's not a soda if it's like a homemade one or like something that the restaurant makes fresh kind of thing, or like the powder packets that you put in water and mix it around, whatever they're called, not soda, but yeah, if you're getting it from the machine, sure.
Okay, there you go. 300 GJW and another starter bites the dust. Robleski, come on down. As we move away from the game that we saw tonight, Blake, the big news, as 300 referencing here for the Dodgers today, is Roki Sasaki, who has been the talk of Dodgers Twitter, Dodgers YouTube, on this channel, especially since his recent performance in Arizona in the season we've had. Today, the Dodgers get some bad news. He goes to the injured list with, quote, right shoulder impingement. Fabian Ardaya initially broke the story saying it was, I believe, a forearm issue. The official injury list report goes to shoulder. So I'll let you decide if Fabian had it wrong or if in classic Dodgers fashion, there's a lot of things going on here. But what did you make of the news that Roki Sasaki was heading to the injured list?
Wasn't surprising. I didn't ever really believe the Mark Pryor telling him to throw softer type thing. That just seemed like a bit of propaganda there to kind of protect Roki from maybe a barrage of questions and more people worrying about it. I just don't see any logic in a team saying yeah, we know you can throw 100, but we want you throwing 94 and your fastball is going to get crushed, but go out there and throw 94. That just makes no sense to me. So yeah, I am definitely concerned about it. I think there's probably some truth to Fabian saying it's a forearm issue and the Dodgers saying shoulder issue. It's probably just soreness or something going on with his whole arm, and that's probably connected to the drop in velocity. So yeah, I mean, definitely a concern.
A lot of people are immediately jumping to the fact that this guy has had a velocity drop in the last 12 months. And typically, one of the surest signs that a guy has elbow problems is when in the middle of a start or over the course of a few starts, the velocity drops suddenly. With Sasaki, we're obviously talking about a 12-month sample size, so it hasn't been sudden. But do you connect those two dots? The fact that 2 years ago he was throwing 100 and this year he's throwing 95, 96, and are you making the jump to Tommy John surgery type concerns or not yet?
I'm not making any jumps, but I do think it is most concerning that like he was throwing 99, 100, and then it started to drop down to like 97 range, and like maybe that's mechanical stuff. I'm not saying that's necessarily injury, and even in his first few starts, he was sitting around that 96, 97 mark. But now going down to 94, 95, even some 93s mixed in there, like that could be definitely a precursor to Tommy John that is more concerning. I'm not an expert. I don't know what's going on. I haven't seen his medical report or anything, so I'm not going to speculate on what surgery he might or might not need or what the treatment's going to be or how long he's going to be out. But for me, from like my perspective watching it, it's definitely a concern. And if he does end up undergoing surgery, it wouldn't shock me. I'm sure the Dodgers are going to do their, oh yeah, just rest for like a week and then we'll start throwing again. And then he does that and comes back. And you know how that goes. Like he still has the pain. And then they're saying, oh, actually, now he's shut down for 3 weeks. That's how the Dodgers operate for some reason. That wouldn't shock me. Yeah, I mean, I feel like nothing at this point would shock me with the outcome of what happens with him. I'm sure we'll hear more from Dave here soon. And then probably even tomorrow we'll going to hear more. So yeah, it's kind of a wait and see thing for me right now.
So when I look at the three kind of major Dodgers heading in the wrong direction from an injury perspective, obviously Kershaw working his way back, Ohtani working his way back, and then you've got Snell, Glasnow, and now Sasaki kind of heading the other direction. We got, I suppose, slightly encouraging news on Glasnow today. Blake Snell remains a big shrug emoji, and then we have Sasaki. Do you think would you agree with my assessment that right now, as of today, health-wise, ignore how good the pitcher is, just strictly health situation, I would say I am least concerned about Tyler Glasnow, and I am most concerned about Roki Sasaki.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. The counterpoint is, like, are you ever not concerned about Tyler Glasnow with his injury stuff? So, yeah, can we put, like, Kershaw on there as least concerned, or is that cheating?
No, I said only the guys going the wrong direction. Because, I mean, Blake Snell is a huge question mark. And obviously, Snell is a bigger deal than Sasaki. Like, if Sasaki were to not pitch again this season, my World Series odds would not change for the Dodgers. If you told me Snell was out for the season, I might have to tinker a little bit. We might change a tenth or a half a percentage point or something like that. So there's obviously orders of magnitude here. But the Sasaki stuff to me is terrifying because of the velocity. And because of, it's a forearm, it's a shoulder. Neither of those is good. Both is terrible as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I'm going to put Snell as my least concern just because, like, we've seen him deal with injury stuff and then come back and dominate. We've never seen Snell, we've never seen Glasnow pitch a full season and throw a lot of innings. So, like, yeah, I think Snell is probably the safest bet to be, like, the one who comes back and is an effective member of the team just because, like, he's done it before and we've seen it, and we haven't really seen that from Glasnow yet.
Do you need a second, Blake? You just said out loud that Tyler Glasnow's never pitched a full season. This is your guy. This is like you've defended him.
He's still good, and he's like when he's healthy, it's always been the thing. Like if he's healthy and good, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball, but he just hasn't ever been. And I was fine taking that risk on him. In hindsight, Ryan Pepio was probably too much to give up for him, but like still, they made the trade. They won a World Series. I know he didn't completely help them in the postseason because he was out, but he still helped them get there. And I think you're kind of just going to have to live with that. And whatever you get from him is just going to be a positive at this point.
I like it. It's nice to see some of these things. JY, well, let's see. 300 says, kidding aside, I'm very worried about our pitching health. I don't know what there is to worry about, Blake, just because all five of maybe their 5 or 6 best starters are all injured. Other than that, I don't understand what all the concern is about.
I mean, they just won a World Series with Yamamoto and a bunch of guys. So as long as Yamamoto's still here, I think we're in an okay spot. But
yeah,
I mean, welcome to the Dodgers on May 13th here. They have pitching issues. They're going to have more pitching issues. It's probably going to be the same thing next year. And by the end of the year, they're still going to be in the playoffs and competitive and competing for a World Series. So, yeah, this is just kind of the life of being a Dodger fan.
Guys, I've been trying to prepare everyone for Clayton Kershaw playoff starter for the last 2 months, and nobody wanted to hear it, Blake. Just get used to it. It's like Landon Knack.
That's when I'd get worried. That's when I'd start to really get worried if we're sitting in September and it's like Clayton Kershaw's lining up to be your number 2, number 3 starter. Like, yeah, that's when I'm hitting the panic.
2.9 ERA, just firing 89-mile-an-hour darts past people, Blake. Just get ready for it. I'm just trying to get people mentally prepared. I don't want it to be a shock to the system when Kershaw is awesome and he's just taking the ball in Game 7 and just throwing a gem. I just want people to be ready emotionally for that moment, Blake.
I will take that bet on Kershaw being their Game 7 starter and pitching a gem in that one. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
JY Kim says, when injured players are in the dugout and traveling with the team, i.e. Glasnow and Sasaki, does that often mean injuries are not serious? Obviously, they're at home tonight, and we know that Glasnow and Snell both had doctor's appointments. Sasaki just placed on the injured list today. Do you make much of who's in the dugout, who's not in the dugout when they're at home versus when they're on the road, Blake?
Not really. Sometimes it's just about like if they were meeting with team doctors that day and they end up traveling, or the pitching coaches wanted to see them throwing or something like that. Or like when they're in Arizona, their spring training facilities over there. So a lot of the rehabbing guys come and visit the clubhouse. They also, like, when you're on the injured list and rehabbing for a player, it can kind of get lonely and you can feel like you're not part of the team because you're not with them. You're not throwing every day. You're not hanging out with the guys. So the Dodgers do make an effort to try and keep all the players connected as much as possible and get them around the team as much as they can. With Sasaki today, they weren't even sure if they were putting him on the injured list up until it happened, basically. So it's not surprising he was with the team. And it's just kind of sometimes how scheduling works out with these things, or if the player wants to travel or what their progression is. Sometimes they're scheduled to throw a bullpen at Dodger Stadium or in Arizona, so they won't be with the team. Sometimes they are with the team if they're at home, and sometimes they're just doing something else on a rehab assignment, or they just don't have to report, so they don't. I don't look too much into it.
I'm trying to remember who we talked to in spring training about that sort of community that forms around guys who were rehabbing together. Was it Emmett Sheehan, maybe?
I think it was Emmett.
Okay. Yeah, but he talked about the fact that, I mean, sadly, there was quite a contingent of guys at the end of last season who were not available to pitch. We're all in various stages of rehab. And he just talked about kind of mentally being able to stay in it as a result. We mentioned Sasaki to the IL. The corresponding move was JP Fireisen coming back. This was a punt lineup. Richard Flores with the super chat. Fireisen is a human punching bag to protect the bullpen. Only good thing about tonight, we rested our bullpen. Come on, Richard. Conforto is the other thing. We got two good things: rested bullpen and Conforto. Richard the optimist. I like this guy.
We had Will Smith with 2 hits, and Chris Taylor had a double and scored a run.
Look at this. Blake the optimist. What is guy? I've defended you from the Guggenheim shills, but like the fact that you are being optimistic and positive about a Dodgers team, Blake, now I'm starting to be suspicious. You turned on Glasnow, you're pro Pepio, and now you're optimistic about this team. What the heck got into you?
I always liked Pepio. I just thought Glasnow was better, so I was fine with the trade. They won a World Series, so who knows what would have happened if they didn't make that trade. We can't go back in time and see, so I think it worked out okay. My main thing is, like, it's May 13th. They have 5 months left. I'm just not going to get like over concerned or over optimistic about anything. Players like the Dodgers aren't giving up on anyone at this point in the season. Just how it goes. Like, not here to hit the panic alarm and complain about everything that's gone wrong, because at the end of the year, more things are going to have gone right and they're going to have 100-something wins. And we're going to be looking back and laughing like, remember when we were concerned about May? Like, it's irrelevant right now.
Are you ready for this, Blake? Mr. Classic, bring back James Paxton, your boy.
All for the Big Maple coming back. He was, I think he was the only Dodger who made every one of his starts last year. Well, they had him and didn't get injured.
So you're just for on the record, you're in favor of bringing back Big Maple?
Yeah, why not?
I mean, I can think of a couple reasons.
If it saves the bullpen a bit, sure, go for it.
I will say kudos to Anthony Witrado. I believe it was the last time he and I were on together, last Thursday maybe. I set the over-under on outs recorded by JP Fireisen as a Dodger at 0.5 and took the under after he recorded no outs in his first appearance, got sent down, and I was like, there's no chance this guy ever makes it back. Well, sadly, today was his day. He got 6 outs, I believe, for this team, gave up 100 runs, I think. So
he gave up 3.
3, sorry. Yeah, I rounded up.
I mean, Fireisen, like, great guy, like him a lot. He is one of the guys on the roster that is here just to kind of eat innings and go up and down and fill space. They've had this guy every year, like Yohan Ramirez, Nick Ramirez. The list just goes on and on. I can't remember all the names off the top of my head, I'm sure. Michael Peterson, like that guy was on the roster for a bit. It's just every year they have these guys. Every team has them. They're not going to come up to be great performers. They're here to fill some innings and prevent the rest of your pitching staff from tiring out. And you don't get guys like that who are going to come in and be great. I mean, I guess Brent Honeywell was the best of those for the regular season. And then in the playoffs, he got lit up, but he ate innings for them. So, like, that's the kind of player you're looking at with Fireisen. You don't put high expectations on those guys.
Yeah, I would argue you put no expectations on them.
Nabil Chrismat, that's a good pull. They have these guys every single year, and it's usually like 5 to 10 of them that end up pitching. I'm sure if you go back and look at the 2024 Dodgers, you'll be like, oh, yeah, that guy pitched for them. I think Dinelson Lamet had a save for the team last year. Like,
he was legit. I mean, and look, they throw 10 darts at the board, and every once in a while you find an Anthony Bonda. I mean, that's the reality. It's like the classic NFL draft thing when somebody jokes about like the Ravens being geniuses for drafting Lamar Jackson. It's like, well, they drafted a tight end before they drafted Lamar Jackson. Your Patriots, they aren't necessarily geniuses for drafting Tom Brady because they passed on him like 7 times before they actually went and drafted him. The beauty of the Dodgers is not that they look at Anthony Bonda and say, this guy's going to figure it out. It's that they throw 10 darts at the wall and one Anthony Bonda gets found and one Evan Phillips gets found and one fill in the blank gets found. So yeah, you got to live through a couple JP Fireisens and Yohan Ramirez's every once in a while, but then an Anthony Bonda pops up on the other side.
It's going to be Ryan Lotus next. I think that's how you pronounce it. The guy they traded for the same day they acquired Fireisen back.
Yeah.
He's
Ludus,
a guy.
I believe it's Ludus.
Okay. Yeah. Something like that. He's a guy.
Yeah, he's a guy.
You heard it.
I got quizzed the other day on the 40-man roster, and I felt really confident that I could do it. And Ludus was the one guy that his existence escaped me. So there you go.
Well, he's pitching meaningful innings in October. You're going to remember that.
There you go. Some people are saying. We mentioned the GOAT, Clayton Kershaw. He's coming back, Blake. He's coming back Saturday, May 17th. The GOAT returns, Blake. We fired up. Kershaw is back. 89-mile-an-hour darts coming your way.
Yeah, he'll be back. I hope he can be effective and pitch well for this team because they kind of need someone right now who can do that.
Give me like a season ERA prediction for Kershaw. I'm not going to ask for an innings pitched prediction, but like, I mean, do you think he's like a 3.5 guy at this point? Do you think he's a 4.5 guy at this point? Do you think he's a 2.9 guy at this point? Where are you at?
Probably under 4 and above 3.5.
Okay. All right.
I think he was 4.5 last year. He was pitching injured a bit. The FIP was 3.5. So yeah, I mean, 3.6 to 3.9 probably seems fair.
Okay. We're gonna play a game, Blake. Who do you trust more right now? Landon Knack or Clayton Kershaw?
Kershaw.
Roki Sasaki or Clayton Kershaw?
Kershaw.
Yeah, let's go, Blake.
I was the low one on Sasaki coming into the year too. Out of our staff, I was the one warning everyone, like, this guy, he doesn't have a great fastball. There might be some learning curves and struggles here. So I don't think that's like necessarily a huge win. I still think Roki's a great prospect and has a ton of talent, and they should have signed him like they did. But yeah, there was definitely a learning curve period with Sasaki that we have seen.
Kershaw, Dustin May.
I think I'm going Dustin May. He's looked really good.
You thought about it. You could like, I can't go Kershaw again here.
I mean, Dustin May's already been effective this year, and he's
Sometimes.
He's looked pretty good. Like the results at what is he, a 4 ERA right now?
I think Kershaw sub 4 ERA.
I think we're going to see some better results from May, but May's also one of the guys you're going to see some really good starts and some bad starts. Like it just depends if he has more good starts than bad starts. Essentially, I think he will. They're probably pretty close though. Like kind of a toss up there.
I mean, you did say Kershaw sub 4 ERA. Dustin May sitting here with 4.08. So
I mean, if you told me like May finished the year at 3.8 or something, like I could believe that.
I like this. Yamamoto, Tony Gonsolin, Clayton Kershaw, Dodgers chasing a World Series title. Blake, get fired up.
Yeah. Who are they trading for at the deadline if that's the case?
Nobody. Don't need it. Don't need it. They're selling pitchers at that point. They're trading away guys.
Oh,
Kershaw's turned back,
coming back, right?
Kershaw has turned back time, baby. He's just ready to roll, locked and loaded. Yeah,
the issue there is even prime Kershaw wasn't always the best in the playoffs, so we'll see.
Negativity. See, now you're back. That's the Blake I know and love right there. Negativity. Sasaki sucks.
I'm just being realistic.
Suck. Clayton Kershaw in the playoffs sucks. That's the old Blake right there.
I mean, we're just being realistic.
Spot the lie. Let's be positive here again. There's a guy on the Dodgers named Freddie Freeman. He's been really good at baseball. Not tonight. He wins Player of the Week this week. Kind of an interesting set of stories that came out about Freddie Freeman. We know he's not fully healthy, which makes the year that he is off to, the start he's off to, even more remarkable. But what's interesting to me, Blake, is what got Freddie Freeman going was actually matching up against the NL favorite for the Cy Young Award, which was Paul Skeens. He came into the at-bat against Paul Skeens on April 25th, 9 for 36. Since that at-bat, he is 27 for 57, hitting 474 with a 1.4 OPS. He's on a tear, but pretty funny that it all clicks against a guy that makes most people look really stupid.
I mean, like you said, it got him his confidence back, and if you're getting a hit off Paul Skeens, I think that's a good reason to have some confidence there, especially if it's a tough pitch. He said he got a changeup, and it kind of helped his swing. He took it for a line drive up the middle. He felt really confident after that, and he kind of rolled that over the next 2 weeks. So, yeah, I mean, it happens sometimes. Sometimes you just have to face the really bad player to get back on track and find your swing. Sometimes you have to face the best player to get back on track and find your swing. And for Freeman, of course, he took the harder route, and it's worked out so far because, yeah, he hit 500 from May 5th to May 11th with the 500 on base and like 1,000 slugging. And, yeah, he was really good.
Well, and it's interesting to read this quote. He says, quote, "Sometimes you just need a result. It's not about hitting the ball hard. Sometimes it could be a bloop. It could be how you're feeling. But that pitch in that location, how I hit it off Paul in that bat, I felt like I was in a good spot and kind of helped my confidence." I can't help but read that quote. Sometimes you just need a result. I was in a good spot and it helped my confidence. I can't help but hear Michael Conforto giving us that quote right now, because he says sometimes you just need the result. And we know how much of a role confidence plays. So for a guy like Conforto tonight to get the result and to build that confidence and to see himself making contact and loud contact, again, Freddie Freeman says it happened for him against Paul Skeens, and it was a bloop single on a splitter. But for Conforto tonight, I'm not saying he's going to turn into Freddie Freeman, but if Freddie Freeman says this stuff matters, then it probably matters for Conforto too.
Yeah, probably. I think you probably could have seen that from the last game where he went 1 for 2 with a double, and then today he had 3 doubles. So hopefully he keeps it rolling and has that confidence there now. The hard thing is, like, Conforto was hitting the ball so well and just wasn't getting results. So I think he understood that to a degree. But yeah, it's always nice to actually see one drop and see that your hard work was rewarded. So hopefully it keeps rolling over, but not to take away from Freddie Freeman, like, and turn this into a Conforto segment, but Freeman has just been incredible. It's hard to say where this team would be without him. He's the most consistent hitter on this team. When Ohtani's struggling, when Mookie's struggling, when Will Smith struggles, like, it's always Freddie Freeman who's the guy right in the middle of that lineup coming through. And yeah, he's been incredible for them.
All right, let's shift gears one more time before we get to some questions and talk about the newest member of the Dodgers organization, Steward Berroa, acquired from the Blue Jays earlier this week for cash considerations. one of my favorite Dodger prospects. So they did give up a lot here. Cash considerations heading to Toronto north of the border. Do we have a Steward Berroa scouting report? Hitting 228 major league games, like 6 steals, 7 years in the minors. Hit 195 in AAA this year. I mean, what's not to love?
Yeah, so when the Dodgers designated Yoendris Gomez for assignment, they had an open roster spot on their 40-man. They filled that with Steward Berroa in a trade. He is a switch hitter who doesn't have much power, but he's really fast. Can't hit much. Essentially another Esteury Ruiz type
Hey, you
player.
told my comp. That was my comp to you in the chat. You can't take that out of my mouth.
I mean, it's the truth, though. Like, that's who he is. He's not going to be a guy who's going to come up and make an impact. He might come up for a little bit, and if the Dodgers need an outfielder for a week and they already have, like, Outman on the roster and stuff, like, maybe it's Berroa who gets a chance. He's mostly organizational depth, and we're probably not going to hear the name too often throughout the rest of the year, but maybe he's a pinch runner at some point. He was 20 or 89th percentile in speed with a 29 feet per second sprint speed, so really fast. And yeah, that's about his only tool.
Any defensive? I mean, I don't love defensive metrics, but I mean, Esteury Ruiz, one of the problems with him is he can't hit and he can't field. Like, do we know anything about Berroa defensively?
I'm not too sure on anything about him, and I don't think he qualifies for any of the metrics on Savant. So that's like an eye test or internal team metrics that you'd have to go through.
We'll get Matt to break down the tape of his innings in Toronto, and we'll circle back. Sign stealing scandal makes a great point. If he's half as good as Angel Berroa, then we are absolutely cooking. Yeah, I mean, if he's a 10th as good as Angel Berroa, we might have a partial major leaguer there. So, does Steward Berroa ever play for the Los Angeles Dodgers? Yes or no, Blake?
I'll say yes for even if it's like one at bat. Like Taylor Trammell played a game for the team last year. Kevin Biggio was around for a while. Nick Ahmed played for them. Like, they always cycle through some of these minor leaguers. I'm sure there's a point where Miguel Rojas or someone gets injured, and then they're like, we need a bat. And Outman's already here, and we're not going to add rushing to the 40-man for 5 days to call him up. So, yeah, I'll say, yeah, sure. I mean, yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Esteury Ruiz, like, is this guy, him and Esteury Ruiz, they're just going to fight it out for this one?
Yeah, probably. I think Berroa is probably a better player, just as a guess, because Ruiz is not good at anything. Ruiz isn't even a good base runner. Like, he gets caught stealing a lot, even with his elite speed. So can't hit, can't field, can't base run, but he is fast. So yeah, I don't know what the appeal is there with him.
It's worth pointing out, when they acquired this guy for cash considerations, the cash considerations are likely if he ever plays for the Dodgers and if he ever contributes, and if not, then it probably doesn't cost them a whole lot. So
it could be $1 still. Like, they could just said, hey, here's $1, give us Berroa, and the Blue Jays are like, sure, let's do it. Yeah. We don't have any room for him.
Canadian dollar or American dollar? What do you think we're working with here?
Hopefully Canadian. I think it's a little more for the Blue Jays.
Hey, it's going to all be the same here pretty soon, right? Am I right, Blake? Come on now.
Yeah, the real question is, do we have to give them tariffs on getting Berroa?
Good question. Is there a tariff on Steward Berroa's? We'll have to check in with that. The sandwich. I can already see Game 7, Kersh pitching 8 shutty and handing the ball to Blake's guy, yes. Joey Gallo.
Joey Gallo is a pitcher now, and he's posting Instagram reels of him throwing. Like, yeah, bring him on. Two-way player before Ohtani comes back. I'm all for it.
So you went like all in on Joey Gallo, the Dodger, the first time. Do you think you will hesitate a little bit to get all the way in on Joey Gallo, the relief pitcher, or do you think it's not even doubling down, quadrupling down on your Joey Gallo position?
I am all in on Joey Gallo's. I have all the stock. We are ready to go for Joey Gallo, elite reliever.
Okay. Rick wants to know, why have a Dodger talk show? They got embarrassed. Do you have any thoughts for Rick here?
Yeah, so we can talk about Steward Berroa and Joey Gallo. Where else are you going to find this content?
Rick, put some freaking respect on Steward Berroa's name, okay? Put some respect on his name, sir. Jeez Louise. The disrespect. The man's got a family, Blake. The man's got a family.
Right. But also, we have these scheduled every Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. So, yeah, if you ever want to talk Dodgers, even on the bad days, we're here.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a good day to remind yourself that there's a lot more good days than there are bad days around here. You could always be the Colorado Rockies. Okay. Let's get to some questions, all caps questions. Throw those in the chat, and we will get to as many as we possibly can. Thank you to the 1,200 people in here live with us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. We appreciate you. Those listening after the fact, Apple, Spotify, and Google. If you are doing the podcast route like those folks, please, when you get a second, when the car is stopped and you are no longer driving or when you have stopped your run, go in and subscribe, rate, and review. That does us a huge favor, whether it's Apple, Spotify, or Google. Please go ahead and do that. If you're a YouTube person, subscribe, ring the notification bell, give us a thumbs up. All that stuff helps. We've been talking about making a push for 100,000 subscribers. When we get there, there's going to be a huge giveaway. So spread the word, help us get there, and then get yourself a chance to win a pretty awesome giveaway. Some people, let's get to sign stealing scanning. We'll do some baseball on the front end. He's got a new picture of Olmedo signs, by the way. I think this is a different picture of Olmedo signs. Do you remember
the teal one?
What's that?
It's not the teal one. He had it like overlaid with a teal coloring because he has tealing in his name. But
there. Oh, got it. I didn't. This is all news to me. Do you remember Olmedo signs, Blake?
Nope, before my time.
Golly, so you don't know what you missed, Blake. Am I the only one who hopes Ohtani returns as a closer? Yes, optimal value and all that, but I'm thinking about his health and first and foremost, the moments.
I don't think the Dodgers have this in mind at all. I think it would probably be difficult for him, like say Ohtani's hitting in the bottom of the 8th and then you need him to come in and pitch the 9th. Like if he gets on base, he can't really go warm up. There's a lot of factors that go into that. He would have to be down in the bullpen at points for when you are sending him down there. Like there's so many other factors working into this. I just don't think it really makes a ton of sense. It worked once in the baseball classic and it was a lot of fun, but yeah, I think there's also a good bit of strain on like the process of throwing multiple times in a week as compared to like starting one game a week kind of thing. So yeah, I think you could make a case that it'd be just as risky for his health.
Yeah, it's a great point about just the logistics of how do you warm up in the bullpen compared to a starter who obviously gets to do all of their warming up when there are no at-bats taking place and then gets to rest when the team is on offense. So good stuff there from you, Blake. Broman74, biggest news of the day in MLB. Pete Rose reinstated. Thoughts. Also, Shoeless Joe Jackson. My take is cool. Like, I don't know. This is maybe controversial. He bet on himself. He never bet against the team that he was playing on. He bet on his team to win. I maybe it's a minority position. I understand betting is bad, all that stuff. Like his betting and his expected effort were in perfect alignment, Blake. So I'm glad he's in. Shoeless Joe Jackson, great. Let's get this thing taken care of and move on with our lives.
Yeah, my thoughts are on the baseball side. I don't really care. As Pete Rose is a person, terrible. He should not be anywhere near the Hall of Fame. There's some not great stuff about him that he should be excluded from Major League Baseball and should have been in prison for. So yeah, not too happy about that one.
Hawaiian Kira wants to know, is there a timeline for Sheehan or Grove? Grove is out for the season, but Sheehan, we've had some positive news, Blake, right? We're talking, I don't know, a few weeks away from kind of starting a potential rehab assignment, right?
Yeah, I believe so. I think he was supposed to throw to Teoscar and who's the Edmund, I think it is, on this week coming up. So yeah, Sheehan should be the first of those like 60-day guys to come back.
Okay.
Other than Kershaw.
Bacon Tree says, do you believe it when Dave said Roki had been dealing with shoulder impingement, but only told the Dodgers after his last start? We do have some post-game comments from Dave Roberts tonight. Quote, everything we know is there's impingement in his shoulder that is similar to what he had last year. We became aware of this after his last start in Arizona. From what we gather is he felt some discomfort for the last few weeks, but given where we were at as a pitching staff, he wanted to continue to go, persevere, and fight through everything until he felt his performance was going to be compromised. So that's why we felt to put him on the IL, let this thing calm down, build him back to where he can be 100%, and get him back out there. Said there was no real timeline, but he will be shut down from throwing for a bit to make sure it heals up. To the point of the question, it's interesting that we became aware of this after his last start. However, Roki Sasaki apparently has been pitching with discomfort for the last few weeks, Blake. What do you make of that?
There is a lot there to kind of like digest and break down. Yeah, if Roki was pitching through the injury, kind of explains some. I think even after Mark Pryor was saying like they told him not to throw hard, I think Roki said in Japanese to the Japanese reporters that he wasn't throwing softer, and that was like not actually happening there. So I guess that makes sense and why we've seen such the big velocity drop there. Not a great look for them. Like from a Dodger perspective, like you can't be mad at the team for Roki not telling them, but from like Roki's perspective, he should have been more upfront about that. I get wanting to pitch and help your team, but you have your whole career ahead of you. Like you made the jump from Japan to Major League Baseball this year. Don't give that all up in this first year when you have hopefully a long career to go. So yeah, that's not great.
Wants to know, no disrespect, but when can we question the Dodgers organization failure to keep pitchers healthy at the major league level? AAA guys seem fine. It's totally not on coaches, but what is the answer?
We have talked about this a lot, and I think there's so many different factors coming into this. I think I'll start with like one of the main points. Mark Pryor brought it up. He said they're kind of in an unlucky stretch right now, and I do think that's fair. When Pryor first came in like 2018, I think it was, for those few years there, like 2018 to 2020, beginning of 2021, they didn't have many injured pitchers. Well, the rest of Major League Baseball was having a ton of Tommy Johns. The Dodgers were pretty lucky there and fortunate keeping guys healthy. Now we have seen the complete opposite of that. So I think it's kind of like just things evening out, and we're seeing a lot of injuries just because pitching injuries happen a lot. I think a lot of it has to do with like the little league levels, and youth players are throwing too much and putting too much stress on their arms at a young age, throwing sliders and everything, trying to throw as hard as they can as soon as they start playing baseball, not giving their arm ample time to relax and rest in the off season, not playing other sports to build up different muscle groups. I think there's an emphasis on throwing as hard as you can in the major leagues right now. There's an emphasis on trying to be at your best every single pitch. You're talking about lineups right now that also have the DH, so you never really get a break in, like, before the 7th, 8th, and 9th guys, when the pitcher was coming up, you kind of had a little bit of a break there where you could ease off the gas a little. You don't have that as much now. I think guys aren't being used in the normal roles. Like, the Dodgers are protecting their arms at AAA a lot, and it leads to them throwing 100 innings a year. And then when they come up and they're expected to throw more than 100 innings, they're not totally built up for that. And I think that's an issue. You have guys who are being prepared as starters, and then they come to the major league level and they say, now you have to be a reliever. I think that's an issue because your arm isn't used to throwing 3 times a week or even twice a week. You're more on that once a week schedule. So there's so many factors into this. I think there's a lot they have to do to work on and address, but it's probably not one thing you can point to and say, like, this is a Dodger problem. This is a Major League Baseball problem. I think it's a baseball problem from the youth level to the major league level with a lot of factors working into it.
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything you just said. If I could summarize it, I would just sort of add the caveat. I think the Dodgers just take risks. I think the Dodgers are willing to bet on high upside, knowing that there's a risk of injury and that those guys are going to miss time. Tyler Glasnow, it's not an organizational problem that Tyler Glasnow is hurt. It's not an organizational problem that Blake Snell is hurt. Like, these are guys who have histories of being injured. Clayton Kershaw, the number of innings he has thrown, right? Like, all of these guys that I've just mentioned, you could pretty easily understand how they got hurt, and it's hard to say it's the Dodgers' fault. Now, with the younger guys, Emmett Sheehan, River Ryan, those types, Gavin Stone, I totally understand the concern. I think sometimes as Dodgers fans, we get hyper-focused on our team and we say, it sure seems like there's a lot of Dodgers guys hurt. Why is this only happening to us? Without maybe ever really doing the work to find out if it actually really is only happening to you. Like, go look at the Marlins. They've got Yuri Perez down on the injured list. Ryan Weathers is down on the injured list. So I think a lot of teams have more guys than you would think on the injured list. So add in the Dodgers willing to take on more risk and the fact that they are prioritizing guys that maybe throw at a level that increases the level of risk, with the fact that dudes are just getting hurt everywhere, like you said, Blake. I think that's a cocktail that leads to the place that we find ourselves.
Yeah, like throwing hard, throwing fastballs as hard as you can is the number one reason for injury, I think, in baseball. MLB released a study about that, which wasn't very shocking, but the Dodgers are targeting guys who can throw hard because they tend to also be the best pitchers and have the most success. There's a reason guys like Kershaw and has had a long career without any major arm issues. And Landon Knack is like the one young starter they have who hasn't had arm issues when he's throwing 95. And the guys who have been hurt are Emmett Sheehan, who was sitting 97, 98, and River Ryan, who was touching 100, and Gavin Stone, who was topping out at like 97 also. So like, it's not a huge surprise that when you're targeting pitchers who throw hard, you're also going to see more injuries than other teams when a guy who's out there throwing like 90 isn't getting hurt as much, but they're usually not as good of a pitcher. So the Dodgers aren't going to tend to go after those types of pitchers either.
And look, you can disagree with the premise. The Dodgers have said, we are going to take quality of starts over quantity of starts. They've been doing this for the last 8 to 10 years. I would argue it has worked out pretty well for them on the whole. The number of World Series they've won, number of World Series appearances, etc. Doesn't mean it works every single time, but they say, hey, if we can get Blake Snell or Tyler Glasnow or both guys healthy for the month and a half that we actually need them, we will take that over going out and signing 3 Landon Knacks who are going to get you 180 innings every year with a 4.5 ERA. I'm not telling you to like it. I'm just telling you it's pretty clear that's what the Dodgers' goal and plans are here. Paul wants to know, does Robleski or Miller get a start with Sasaki out? You want to take this one, Blake?
Probably Robleski. I wouldn't be surprised if they just go with Matt Sauer, depending on how long Sasaki's out. Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, with Kershaw back, you've got Yamamoto, May, Gonsolin, Kasparius, Sauer, and then Kershaw. So
I think they'll want to get back to like their guys on once a week kind of schedule, and you probably need Kasparius and Sauer in the same game. And I don't think they want to keep burning their relievers too much. So I would be a little surprised if they don't bring up a starter at some point.
I guess I didn't mention Knack. So you got Yamamoto, May, Gonsolin, Knack, Robleski, Sauer, and then Kershaw's 6. So it's interesting. We'll see. To your point, they've wanted to have guys once a week. They had off days that allowed them to do that. AP wants to know, at what point do we consider Mike Pryor's role? This happens year over year. I get we get a few injury pitchers, but it's getting ridiculous.
So I will say Mark Pryor, he is getting all the blame for everything, but he is essentially a game planning coach and doesn't like make the changes to the pitchers. The guy working with pitchers, making mechanical changes, tweaking pitch usages and all that is Connor McGinnis. So like, if you're going to blame someone, blame him for that kind of stuff. But also he's the guy who's fixing Anthony Bonda and making him a quality reliever for the team and helping them get the most out of some of these pitchers who you're not expecting much from them, or they figure something out. So yeah, but Mark Pryor, I don't think he's the issue here. He's the game planning guy. He's helping Dave Roberts determine when to bring in pitchers and when to take them out and manage all that stuff and game planning for opponents and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I just said my point on this. So I think my answer to that question is clear. Let's get to a couple fun questions and be out of here. Hawaiian Kira wants to know, can we talk about Blake's cap? You've got the Star Trek hat on there with a little bit of Anakin Skywalker or something going on. So talk us through it.
It's Revenge of the Sith hat. It's got the patch on the side there that says it. I got it at Disneyland while I was there yesterday during the off day. Went to get some work done there, just have some lunch and relax a bit. So yeah, it's the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. So they have some merch coming out for it.
You went to Disneyland to get work done?
Yeah.
Like you just brought your computer to Disneyland?
I was also building a lightsaber there because they have a limited time thing they're doing for it. So I built that. I had my computer. I did some work. I got lunch, and then I came home.
So you got another lightsaber too?
Yeah.
We're up to 4?
I have way more than 4.
But don't you have like 4 real ones or something like that?
Okay, so first of all, lightsabers are not real.
Trust me, Blake. No, if there's one person in this chat that needs to be reminded whether or not lightsabers are real, I can assure you it's not me. All right.
I have a lot of lightsabers. Yes, I try to get them all So I have like the full collection of them, and I want to hang them all up at some point when I get around to it. I don't know the best way to do that yet. Trying to figure it out. So yeah.
How many lightsabers exist?
I mean, each Jedi has their own and each Sith has their own, but what is actually being made, I don't know, there's probably been like 30 of them that have come out.
And you have how many?
I probably have at least 25 of them.
Okay. So you're getting close.
Yeah, there's some that were like limited that they don't sell anymore that I'll have to get on eBay or something, and they're expensive, so I haven't done that. But yeah, I have most of them.
I just want to get in the socioeconomic bracket of the guy who goes to Disneyland just to have lunch and get work done while buying his 25th lightsaber. I
have my annual pass, so it's free to get in and free to park.
True. Well,
so like I can just go there kind of whenever I want and do whatever I want. Sometimes it's nice just to go and get food. They have good food there, so you go. I had a blue milk. I had a cookie croissant. It's for their 70th anniversary. It's like a croissant squished down and made crunchy with sugar on it. It was really good. And I had my sandwich that I've been craving for a while, where you get the garlic cheesy pretzel bread and then put a meat skewer on it and make a sandwich, and it's amazing.
Okay, so just to be clear, you defended the cost of the decision by saying that you have a Disneyland pass that gets you free admission and free parking, as if that didn't cost you $2,000.
I mean, I pay monthly for it, so it's not a huge deal. But yeah, I just like, I have the pass. I'm going to use it on the off days. It was fun to go.
There you go.
Relax.
Hey,
sit in Galaxy's Edge and do some work.
It's amazing.
Enjoy
it's amazing.
Food.
One of a kind. Okay, last one. Richard wants to know, Tommy's Five Guys, the hat, or In-N-Out. You can only eat at one. Which do you go to?
Are we considering price here? Because that's like a huge thing.
I mean, look, you're the guy with the Disneyland annual pass who goes to Disneyland for lunch.
Yeah,
so
that's
I don't
why
think
I'm considering the price on my burger.
I don't think we're considering price here. You don't seem like a guy that considers price all that often.
To be fair, Disneyland food is pretty reasonably priced, and I get my 15% discount on it.
Reasonably priced at Disneyland?
Compared to everything else now? Yeah, everything's expensive. Like, you can ask Matt this too. He'll say it's also reasonably priced. Like, I got probably a 10-inch sandwich with some chicken, a good amount of chicken on it for $15 or something. Like, that's not crazy.
I mean, it's not reasonably priced. I'll say that. What the heck are we talking about?
I got a water too, but like, still,
how much they charge you for the water?
The water, it's expensive. It's $4, but yeah.
So you paid $20 for a sandwich and water?
With the water and the sandwich, it was like 14 and change.
Oh, the water with the $4 water was included in that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And the blue milk, how much are we throwing back for blue milks?
I think the blue milk is like $6 or something, but I forget.
That's wild. That's wild. It's amazing.
But
so imagine
if you go to but just if you go to like McDonald's and try and get a combo of a Big Mac or something, you're paying like $12 for it now. Yeah, so like, I don't know, that's actually good food.
McDonald's
at Disneyland.
I'm just kidding. Okay, so just imagine that you can afford an annual pass, a blue milk, a chicken sandwich, and a water bottle at Disneyland. And so money is not an issue when you're deciding between these four. What are we taking?
Five Guys, I think, is the best here.
Oh my gosh.
Five Guys is really good. Are you going to say
Five Guys is good? Five Guys is good.
I've only had the hat once, and it was fine. Like, Matt told me to get the burger. I got the pastrami. So, yeah, I don't know. There's
Matt
no hat near me.
Burger?
He did.
Yeah, you made the right decision there.
I figured. It was fine.
Guys, that's crazy. Five Guys?
In-N-Out's the best value here, but like if we're just talking pure food, like what I'd want, I like Five Guys. You get
it's either In-N-Out or Tommy's. It's either In-N-Out or Tommy's. There's no other correct answers here other than those two.
There's no way In-N-Out's better unless you're like talking about price-wise too.
In-N-Out's better.
Nah.
Double animal style. Some Lightwell fries. Give me some spread on the side, Blake.
I mean,
Tommy's chili cheeseburger, maybe some chili cheese fries on the side.
Tommy's is very good, but like you have to be very much in the mood to have all that chili, I think. So, yeah, I don't know.
Wow. It's wild. Okay.
Yeah, Five Guys, you get the free peanuts there. The fries are great. You don't get great fries at In-N-Out.
Fries are better at Five Guys.
I
I like
think
Five
the quality
Guys.
of the burger is probably the best.
I like Five Guys. I'm just saying there's an In-N-Out that's like 25 to 30 minutes from my house, and there's a Five Guys 5 minutes from my house, and I go to the In-N-Out a lot more than I go to the Five Guys.
Well, that makes sense because you go to Five Guys and you're spending $25 on a meal, and you go to In-N-Out and you're spending $15. So, it's a huge difference there.
It's amazing. It's amazing. All right. That'll do it for us, folks. That's Blake Williams. I'm Jeff Spiegel. As always, we appreciate you joining us. This has been Dodger Heads, presented by DodgerBlue.com. Stay tuned for some content we've got coming at you, a couple fun interviews that we've got lined up this week. Of course, we will be back live on Thursday nights. We will be back live again on Sunday, every Tuesday, every Thursday, every Sunday. Anthony Witrato out of town this week, but Blake filling in. We appreciate that. I think we've got another special guest coming on Thursday. Matthew Moreno's in the mix as well. So thanks, everybody, for joining. Check out DodgerBlue.com for the latest. Matt Moreno's going to have all sorts of content up on Dodger Blue 1958's YouTube page right here as soon as this is done. So make sure you check that as well. Enjoy the rest of your night. As always, go Dodgers.